Did you know that the number of millionaires in Delhi grew by 92% between 2012 and 2023? The growth was 80% for Mumbai and 120% for Bangalore. Did you know that India lifted 415 million people out of poverty in the 16 years ended 2021? Hello and welcome to another edition of Capital Calculus. I am your host, Anil Padmanabhan. Recent remarks by Rahul Gandhi, the former president of the Congress party, and the claims included in the party's election manifesto have put the spotlight on the challenge of inequality in India. To be sure, inequality has always existed in India and, for that matter, in the rest of the world. Look around you and you know what I mean. For example, the average salary of a building guard in a month would be what some of us would spend on an evening outside with our friends. The question is whether inequality has worsened in the last decade as claimed by the Congress party, especially since this charge has been leveled against the incumbent two-term National Democratic Alliance led by the Bharatiya Janata Party. To fact-check this claim and more, I spoke to Rajesh Shukla. He is a previous guest on this show and the CEO of PRICE, or People Research on the Indian Consumer Economy. This is not the first time that inequality is entering the public discourse in India. In fact, rather ironically so, this concern was flagged by the Standing Committee on Finance during the tenure of the Congress-led UPA. So I began by asking Rajesh the what and why of inequality in India.
In any economy, I believe measurement of inequality is very, very important because the an inequality of not only limited to, you can say, income, even expenditure. I can go even beyond that because this is very, very important in terms of because a lot of affirmative action is taken place by the government, both the state and the central, as well as also the social institution to distribute the benefit of interventions to each and every person in the terms of their representation. So inequality, if we are measuring, then one can measure the what is actually the impact or benefit or the program targeted is really reached to the right type of people. So in that context, inequality measurement is important and it should be done on the what I can just say is the based on the factual data and the updated regularly to at least measure. As far as the income and expenditure is concerned, both are important. Both tells actually the level of inequality, but each one is having advantage at it as well as disadvantage. If I will, if I can just mention, if you look at expenditure to income ratio at bottom, if you look at bottom 20 or 30%, expenditure is higher than the income. However, if you go above 50% percentile on the top, you'll find the income is substantially higher than the expenditure. So, in that context, if you are measuring the income inequality, it will be approximately 10 percentage point higher than the expenditure inequality. Now, important thing is how you want to use this inequality for your affirmative or any actual intervention. And in addition to that, I would like to also add, Anil, is important go beyond the income and expenditure, like education inequality, like health inequality, water inequality, energy inequality. These are the parameter. If you link with the all inequality together, then what we call currently is the multidimensional inequality of poverty. that makes a lot of sense to understand how the interconnected welfare indicators moving forward in terms of developing the better society, in addition to the enhancing the purchasing power and consumption pattern.
Quick short follow up. If going by what you're saying, that inequality worsens, then your social welfare and affirmative action is not getting the desired results. And similarly, if it is coming down, inequality is shrinking, that means logically affirmative action is working and welfare is impacting.
It is not so linear actually, Anil. In this, means you'll find that the if inequality is increasing, always it is not bad thing actually, because the ultimately the last mile of person is having capability and capacity to absorb the growth. So because the bottom of the pyramid always have actually the one can say disadvantage because of the low level of education, or the locational disadvantage in the areas where the actually economic activities are limited. For example, in the like rural poor rural areas. So I'm saying that if inequality is increasing, one has to just look at the if growth share in growth is absorption is happening at the higher rate at the upper tail, then it is a government and policy need to be just formulated by which at least growth is important, but also serve the bottom of pyramid by which at least they can also join into the growth whatever their capability and capacity. And the same time, even if it is a lower inequality, it doesn't mean that the your society is growing the way you want actually. So I believe always the any growth in any society economy has the impact, but as we have started, if we are measuring the developmental indicator with the objectively, and then probably we can move forward with the desired level of inequality and the optimum level of growth.
Rajesh is making a very crucial point here. He's trying to tell us that there are no binary conclusions that can be drawn on the subject of inequality. I was curious to know as to how the Congress Party's claim that inequality worsened in the last decade stood up to scrutiny using the data generated by price.
This is very important actually. You see, the means like the as I started and mentioning that the measuring the, I mean, saying a state making a statement that inequality has increased or worsened, I believe it need to be looked into the available data or the research finding from the credible sources. Unfortunately, Anil, like the last NSS survey on the consumption expenditure data is partially released, but it happened after 10 or 11 years and on the consumption expenditure. So, whatever the assumptions our people are making here are there, are the statement, it might be validated when unit level data in the public domain. But at the same time, let me also say that it is unfortunately government, there is no income data government is producing actually. And so estimating the income inequality is only possible from the data what actually the in the other institution like private institution or outside the government. And in that way I can just say we are actually price is generating data. And then coming to the your answering your question, like our data shows, because the something happened in 2021 like the pandemic certainly derailed the entire actually the development, not only in India but globally. And the inequality worsened either expenditure as well as income both globally across the all the economy. And that is I mean, so India is not something like the in isolation. So it is happened, our data shows the like the in during the COVID period, income inequality as well as expenditure both has risen, uh, means significantly, and it has gone to, if I can just give the number, it has increased actually the from 15 16 what we are having data, from the approximately 0.37 to 0.50 actually, which is exceptionally high, and this is understandable. But at the same time, let me say that post covid period, like in 22 23, we are also having data, and when we have estimated affirmative action and a lot of action taken by the government and policymakers, and that has facilitated to again rebuild the bottom through the, you can welfare schemes, or the, you can say the, like a lot of government is giving as like farmers actually the kisan nidhi, and also in the informal sector a lot of support has come, so it is rebound. But still I can just say our data shows still the middle has recovered, but bottom is still in the form of recovering, and it is edged to at least that 15 16 level. So what we are saying, it is based on hardcore data, whatever data is saying. So it is worsened, but it is recovered as well.
So, Rajesh, if I have understood you right, based on your data, you are saying that inequality prior to 2015-16 was improving, and COVID caused a big setback, and now there's a recovery underway. So, inequality is once again trying to attain the levels prior to 2015-16, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Because if you see the miss post, particularly the post economic reform, you'll find that during the economic reform when it started, the benefit actually accrued actually the much towards the upper tail in the first actually the economic reform period, first 10 years. But when it is actually the economy open, then benefit start coming to the actually the lower strata as well. And during the 2010-11, it was higher growth. You can actually visualize yourself that the 8 to 9% actually, which has actually the, when higher growth happened, then benefit started reaping to the bottom, means bottom of the pyramid, and that has reduced the, you can say the, from the higher inequality in initial and reduce the lower inequality. And by 2015 and 16, it was the lowest actually 0.37 approximately. And during the covid period, because of the, this is the something happened, and again globally it increased the income inequality, and in india as well it is reached. But post COVID, as we are observing from our data, post COVID, again the income inequality is declined significantly and reach approximately 0.39. And in actually the 2015-16, it was 0.376 actually. So it has recovered significantly, and I can just say here the role of central government schemes, welfare schemes, state governments initiatives, also a lot of actually the positive action taken by indian population and consumer as well, to find the opportunity where they can actually the grow along with the countries growing fast forward. So this is happened actually during last decade and so.
I suspect, Rajesh, that large reason for the recovery is also the JAM trinity, that is Jan Dhan, Aadhaar, Mobile, which has enabled targeting of welfare spending, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Means this is remarkable thing. You can say means what we have collected data, we are clearly showing it clearly showed actually. Even we are targeting, and we are our survey to the bottom to top actually. This is the survey where we are covering entire spectrum from the poorest of poor to richest of richest. So we have noticed in the bottom 40%, which was greatly disadvantaged during the covid period, they have actually the supported by government welfare, as you mentioned, like the all the welfare schemes. Let me also mention categorically, we are collecting a lot of demographic information in terms of like if you take caste, religion, or the regional level. So you'll find, irrespective of caste and religion, let me say that the benefit has reaped to the, in general, the bottom 40% very well through the Janadhan, jam, and even health related, actually the health related benefit, also the self-employed informal sector. So it reaped the benefit, and that has given the uh, very important, actually, the flip to the recover from all the even the losses happened due to COVID.
So fascinating. You're saying that probably first time in this country's economic history that welfare has been distributed equitably. So it has no cohort has been denied the welfare benefits unless, of course, in exceptional circumstance, right?
Yeah, this is a clearly coming from our data, irrespective of the, and that is the good thing I can just say, uh, like the where it is targeted to the through the technology. And two things actually they import in terms of the your willpower to serve these people, understanding the requirement. Second thing is, digital is not having any bias if you are eligible and enrolled in terms of any social, caste, religion, or location. And if it is connected, I believe in that way. My way of looking is the Jandhan account and Aadhaar, actually the make the entire effort is actually in such a way by which at least the action and the benefit, action taken by the various, actually, and it reaches to the needy and the desirable people, irrespective of caste and creed.
The conversation with Rajesh has helped clarify several things. One, the problem of inequality is not new to India, and contrary to a widely held belief, it has actually improved over time. Second, the onset of the COVID 19 pandemic created a surge in inequality. Third, the spike in inequality was reversed in the subsequent years. The big takeaway then is that inequality has not worsened in the last decade, but this does not mean that inequality does not exist in the country. It is a public policy challenge. It will have to be addressed. It won't be easy, but it is not difficult either. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to Strat News Global on YouTube. Hit the bell icon so that you don't miss any updates. And please do share your thoughts, ideas, and suggestions with us. I'm available on Twitter at Capital Calculus. I'll be back next week with another episode. Till then, stay safe.